Hey Slappy, how are you today? Um, is it hot in here or is it just me? How hot is it? You have to say something. You're making me look like an asshole. My jaw's been broken 10 years, you dick. Well, I know, but that doesn't mean you couldn't put some effort into it. You put more effort into it. You're not even doing my voice, you're doing it after. And this is how you want to use me. Now. You see, this is why you stay a background prop most of the time. And this is why your subscriber count is laughable at best. Hello everyone, and welcome to another weekly discussion. Even though it hasn't been weekly so far, but we're working on it. So, since yesterday was such a stressful day for most of us Americans, I figured we'd talk a little light today. And, well, figured why not bring old Slappy in to lighten the mood. Little prick. I'm sure most of you have met him before if you're familiar with my channel. He was in my top 9 favorite horror movies back in the day. And I bet you've all wondered why I just happen to have a plastic ventriloquist dummy lying around to begin with. And I believe most of you are probably hoping it's for non-creepy reasons. It is. Because back in the day, I loved a little book series called Goosebumps. Holding it the right way. Isn't that miraculous? Good old Goosebumps. That was the shit back in the day. That and Are You Afraid of the Dark and scary stories to tell in the dark. Back in the day. I was about 7 or 8, elementary school age, when we were doing like the Scholastic book fair thing, and we would, I don't know if they still do this, they might, I have zero idea. We used to get these little pamphlet leaflet things, and you could order books and book paraphernalia from them. And one of those things was being part of the Goosebumps fan club, and what that entailed was you'd get a couple of Goosebumps books every month or so, every other month or so, which led to me having a actually fair collection. It's not a complete one, mind you, but I do have at least a third of them, if not half of them. At least the original collection. I don't have a lot of the 2000 and onward stuff. If you know what I'm talking about, of course. So, I figured this would be a good time to talk about them. But I didn't want to talk about the series as a whole because, frankly, although I have a lot of them, I haven't read a lot of them. I have my few that I've read, and I'll talk about them in due time. But, to be fair, I figured this would actually be an excuse to read these books that have been just gathering dust for a while. Because, frankly, I watched the TV show a bit more than I read the books, which is dumb because the books are better. For the most part, there are a couple of good adaptations when it comes to the TV show. But for now, we're going to talk about one of my favorite series in the Goosebumps saga, and that is Night of the Living Dummy. He's no dummy. When twins Lindy and Chris find a ventriloquist's dummy in a dumpster, Lindy decides to rescue it, and she names it Slappy. But Chris is green with envy. It's not fair. Why does Lindy get to have all the fun and all the attention? Chris decides to get a dummy of her own. She'll show Lindy. Then weird things begin to happen. Nasty things. Evil things. It can't be the dummy causing all the trouble. Can it? Yeah. Night of the Living Dummy was my jam when it came to Goosebumps back in the day. Like, that was actually the first few I saw, and it fascinated me so much that I decided to get into all the other ones, slowly but surely. But yeah. These books, the Night of the Living Dummy books, are the ones that got me started. Although, here's a fun fact. Did you know, though, Slappy is mentioned on the back? And although this portrait meant to represent Slappy from all the books onward, Slappy's not the antagonist of the first book. It's totally spoiled a book for you that's been around for way too long. But yeah, I'll actually admit that the first Night of the Living Dummy isn't my favorite. It's okay, I can't remember much from it is my problem. But I do remember that, yeah, it's about twins. One gets Slappy and one gets another dummy named Mr. Wood, if I am correct. Oh, it certainly seems to be the case anyway. I know I staged that opening, but I seriously did start reading it again for a bit there. Because, it's better than I recall. But yeah, we get Mr. Wood instead, and Slappy will eventually act as a twist. In a sense. Although Lindy don't know this one that well, Lindy does be a total bitch and pretend Slappy is alive for like the first couple of chapters just to fuck with her sister because she's a bitch. Simple as that. But yeah, that's one slight formula I've noticed with the Night of the Living Dummy stories, and that is sibling rivalry equals powder keg equals fun for Slappy, Mr. Wood. Because Night of the Living Dummy 2 does essentially a similar thing, although I like this one's premise a lot better. With the original, it's more just these two twins who are fighting for attention and all want the same thing, which can get kind of tiring from a story standpoint, in my opinion. I mean, I don't dislike it, but it's definitely not my favorite. You can tell my hair is pissing me off again, pardon me. But with this one, I like it a bit better. This one follows Amy's family, and I actually read this one quite a bit more than the first one. And in this one, it's every week they have a family night together, and they have to do some sort of performance. Like, the dad usually sings a song. I forget exactly what the mom does. She does her thing. The sister's like a really good painter, and so she'll show off her most recent painting. And she has a kid brother who just does whatever, and it's fine. But with Amy, it is Amy, right? It is Amy. Amy does ventriloquism, and she starts with her initial dummy, Dennis, who is really old, and his head always ends up popping off, making him unusable. So she begs for a new one. And what does she get? She gets Slappy. And what she do? She finds the spell, brings them to life. Bob's your uncle. But I like this one just a bit better. But like I said, with 1 and 2, they're very similar. Like, this one also deals a lot with the sibling rivalry aspect. Although, rather than the whole one twin gets more attention than the other twin dynamic, it's the middle child dynamic. Because she has the older sister who's a really good painter. She gets a lot of attention because of it. She has her paintings in art shows, and she's like in high school, so that's not that odd. And she has a little brother that gets away with everything, you know. The standard complainy middle child stuff. Which, although I feel that one is done a lot more than the twin dynamic, I think I like it better because it's a bit more classic in its own way. I tend to be a bit weird when it comes to what I like that's been done before and what I like that hasn't. But yeah, the first two, although they're both very charming and very enjoyable, 2 is definitely the better. They're very formulaic, in my opinion. Like, the first few chapters are just a bunch of build-up to fake, not actually scary moments, and then it gets into things, and, you know, and like I said, very similar dynamic. 3, Night of the Living Dummy 3, that is, actually begins to break the mold just a touch. Because they do a lot of things differently. Rather than the kid be interested in the dummy, in Night of the Living Dummy 3, it's the dad. And also, you notice I'm not showing the book because I don't have the book. I watched the episode, though, and it's one of my favorites because it's actually one of the better acted episodes of the show. Speaking of, did you know there is no Night of the Living Dummy episode of the Goosebumps show? If there is, I have not seen it. I cannot find any proof of it. But one of the earliest ones is just 2. Just 2. It's not a very good adaptation. The book is way better in that case. But, yeah. So I throw that out there. But 3 was actually one of the first episodes I saw, period, which is what made me like it so much. Why I'm kind of a little biased. But I like that one because, yeah, in that one we got the dad who's interested in the ventriloquist dummies. He's an actual ventriloquist. And the brother and sister actually like each other, and it's their cousin that they're dicks to. Because their cousin is a scaredy cat, and they have fun scaring him. And so it's gotten so bad he refuses to come visit them. Although they're given no choice because I think there's a wedding or a funeral or something he's not particularly invited to, and he's forced to stay there. Which the parents beg them to play nice just this once. And they do. Although the cousin gets them back, then shortly after that, Slappy gets them all, because that's just what he does. And then there's Bride of the Living Dummy. Don't have that book. I did see the episode, though, and for obvious reasons, it's my least favorite of the 4. Because at least with Mr. Wood, that was meant to be the twist. With Bride, though, I feel, and I hate to say it, I feel that was just trying to have Night of the Living Dummy kind of be the child-friendly version of Child's Play and have them ride the back off that. Just because, if memory serves, I think Bride of the Living Dummy came out around the same time Bride of Chucky did. Correct me if I'm wrong, I probably am. But, just because I know that one is the fourth one, it is much later, and I think it was written during the 2000 series, and Bride of Chucky came out around 2000, 2001, something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. Overall, it's not awful, I guess. It's just, out of concept, it's my least favorite. Like I said, I think I've got a fondness for 3, but overall, concept-wise, 2 is my favorite just because I feel it does what Slappy does a bit more. And I mean, overall, Night of the Living Dummy is probably my favorite series in Goosebumps. For mostly nostalgia reasons, I will say that. But overall, it's still highly enjoyable. Like I said, I really did get into reading the first one a bit when just trying to look up a fucking name. But overall, it's enjoyable. I mean, Slappy himself became sort of a mascot of sorts. So much so that he became essentially the main antagonist in the recent Jack Black movie. Which, by the way, I liked the new Goosebumps movie. Like, you think I'd be all, it's not scary at all, I didn't like it. But you know what? It was charming, it was campy, it was goofy. I thought Jack Black was funny. I tend to always think he's funny, though. I'm one of those few people who just... I get where people are coming from, but I tend to think he's funny. But yeah, and I also think that's why the original Night of the Living Dummy didn't get an episode, because it had Slappy in it the least, and they didn't want to confuse kids by introducing this one evil dummy, Mr. Wood, and then have him never come back again. So I get that as well. But yeah, it'll always have a special place in my heart. And, well, that's all I've really got to say about it. I'll probably talk about a few more books in the series as I go along. I probably won't be doing this every week, mind you. I'll probably stagger them a bit. But I felt like talking about this one today just because I wanted to look back at a simpler time where things weren't so complicated. Anything to add there, Slappy? You can lay there like a lump on the log, huh? Oh. Appears up behind me. No, you're not getting another video this week. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane with me. I'll catch you on Friday for a new creepypasta, and viewer beware, you'll be in for a scare. I'll eventually master the outro. Today is not that day. You'll have a good day.